When you think of the American dream, everyone pictures one meaning behind the phrase. In this section, I will cover the American dream and its true history on how it came around, as well as establishing the meaning behind the phrase. The American dream has long been used, but was most notably popularized in the 1930s by James Truslow Adams, defining it as the dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable, and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of their fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. When he came up with this definition, he did not mean individual wealth, but wealth of prosperity and opportunity, as well as equality. Only after the start of the Cold War do we come to the more modern definition of the phrase. The phrase has changed over the years, but is now more generally accepted to be about upward social mobility and material riches. The new definition is everyone has the freedom and opportunity to succeed and attain a better life. Next, I will talk about how this view on the American dream has changed not only for the older people of this country, but especially for the younger generations. The goalpost has also shifted over the years, as the ability to get the American dream is much harder for Gen Z and younger generation than it was for baby boomers and older generations. Many younger generations find it impossible to reach for the same goals that baby boomers had and were able to achieve. Even baby boomers worry for their children and their prospects on buying a home, having kids, or even getting a job with a steady income. One of the only groups of people who sees things differently are recent immigrants, or most immigrants for that matter. A large majority of immigrants see a brighter future for their children. Many immigrants come into the country with very little, but are able to get a job. This gives them reassurance that their children can only do better than them. A big question people have is, why do people even come to the United States? A large number of people come to the United States for work, school, safety, and family. Immigrants are in search of a better life and future, which in a lot of immigrants' cases may not have been attainable in their home countries due to lack of education, lack of opportunities, lack of jobs, or even because of security. Many immigrants see the United States as a utopia compared to their home countries, just based on the possibility of opportunities. The American dream is a promise for better for those who come here. Immigrants in the past had many opportunities to come into the country through legal means. In 1986, Reagan even signed an act that gave amnesty to illegal immigrants. Immigrants were also able to get legal status by marriage to a citizen or even sponsorship from family or even an employer. This was possible to do even if they were already in the country illegally. Deportation was also happening at low numbers and was only really a possibility if they had committed huge crimes like murder. Yet that all changed after 1996, when the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibilities Act was passed, which made it possible for people to get deported even for small crimes like perjury. Deportation was now possible for people who had even committed the crimes before the law was put in place, even if they had already gotten their legal status. This law also made it nearly impossible for immigrants to get legal status, as it puts punishments in the way, like being barred from the country for 3 to 10 years, based on how long you had been living in the country illegally. The main goal of this law was to deter immigrants from coming, but the opposite happened, as immigrants were now more likely to stay in the United States than they were before. This act laid the groundwork for a lot of immigration laws that we have in place now. The pathway to the American dream for immigrants is vastly different now to what it was 50 years ago, not only in the way to legal citizenship, but the things they experience in the United States. Although immigrants may see the United States as a utopia, the reality for many is vastly different. Many immigrants face difficulties that wouldn't occur if they were legally born in the United States. Immigrants are at a high rate of facing discrimination in workplace and in healthcare. It has been reported that half of immigrants have faced workplace discrimination, and the rates are higher for different immigrants of color or immigrants without papers. The same can be said for social settings. Immigrants are also more likely to be stopped by the police due to racial profiling, or even be discriminated against at a higher rate if they are of color compared to white immigrants. Immigrants are more likely to take on the low-paying jobs or even face wage theft. Industries which have large amounts of immigrants have higher percentages of wage theft. The employers may know the legal status of their employee and use their position of power to do things they may not have done if their employee was not an immigrant. These employees are least likely to report wage theft, as they fear losing their job or even worse. Foreign-born workers are also more likely to be injured or die on the job than native-born workers, as they are more likely to work hard or even dangerous jobs. Many foreign workers are working hard jobs like in agriculture and construction. Immigrants from different areas are also seen differently, as Asian and European immigrants are seen in a more positive light compared to Africans, Latinos, and Middle Easterns. Another thing immigrants face in the United States is fear of deportation, which has only increased in recent months, as ICE raids have only become more frequent through the new administration. All of these fears and unfair treatment is not only happening in the United States. This unfair treatment of immigrants is also happening in countries like the United Kingdom and France. In the UK, immigrants and refugees are likely to experience discrimination. The same can be said for immigrants in France. A group that faces a large amount of discrimination in France are Muslims. It seems as though all countries that have had a large influx of immigrants are going through the same thing the United States is, especially on the treatment of immigrants and how they are viewed. You may be asking yourself just why immigrants would put themselves in a situation that in reality is closer to a dystopia than a utopia. They come to the country to live out the American dream they hope for and sacrifice so much for. But things have changed so much, especially in the last 50 years, as the situation for immigrants continues to evolve and worsen in many cases, in all countries. Even the immigrants who understand the situation in America and just what awaits them in the United States are still risking their lives to come here, which should put everything into context for you, as even with this bleak reality for immigrants, the United States still seems like a utopia compared to the country which they are coming from. They still are seeking out the American dream.